drops and stuff. And we really don't want to trade for them with our 5 drops. Alright, and then moving on to Prismatic. We're going to go one by one. Arbiter of Twilight. Our verdicts are Ancient Verdicts. And it's a 5-cost 4/4 lethal flight. We already play this for the body because it's a 5-cost 4/4 flight. And then it also has lethal, which is not the most exciting card or ability for a 5-cost 4/4. And then we also have this third upside, or second upside, I guess, of our verdicts are Ancient Verdicts, which means most of them get doubled in effect. There's one of them that instead of putting a random troop from your graveyard to your hand, it becomes put it directly onto the battlefield. That's cool. I guess he's strong. If you save your verdicts for him, he's even stronger. I don't know how we're playing verdicts, though. So yeah, I mean, I think he's strong. Incidentally, you get, like, a bit of bonus value. I don't know if this is a chase rare. I doubt that verdict gets there in constructed, so yeah. What else have we reviewed that's a Nombo with Doom Guardian? I don't know. I don't think so. Next up is Blaze of Glory. It's a quick action with life drain. Deal X damage to target troop. If it would die this turn, void it instead. Hey look, it's a constructed plant. Hey look, it's literally Skarn Breath, but quick. Also, I guess it has life drain, so it's like better than that even. But like, it's about as good as Skarn Breath, honestly. In limited, like yeah, I guess it's better than Skarn Breath by a lot because the life drain does matter. In limited, in Hex limited, I've been racing a lot more than winning by miles. Like, I haven't had games where I just like sit there and I have like so much card advantage, I'm outgrinding my opponent, and then like I'm just gonna deal like 14 damage to them a turn until they die. Or whatever. Don't compare basic to quick. Don't care. So yeah, Blaze of Glory is probably great. It's probably a first pick. It's really hard being... No, it isn't. Yeah, no, it's probably great. Alright. It's probably great in Constructed too, because of the Void Clause. Alright, next up, we got Blight Wagon, 3 costs, 2/3 lethal. Hey, look, it's kinda cheap, and it's lethal. And we can, at basic speed, bury the top card of your deck and trigger the death cries of each troop buried this way. That's kind of janky. I don't feel like I'm going to bury my own deck and do this a lot. So I'm going to play this as a 3-cost 2/3 in limited most of the time. I don't think that's that like great. I don't think that this is very bomby. Like, obviously, there are like some huge death cries that we could trigger that would be really strong. But in limited, it's very unlikely that that's any good. And in fact, we actually help mill decks like get there too. And it also buries them, so it also triggers the stupid mill decks like on bury effect. So yeah. I don't think we're playing Blightwagon very high, or picking Blightwagon very highly. Like, we'll pick it as a 3-cost 2/3 lethal, which isn't a great card, but it's fine. In Constructed, however, it gets slightly better. I don't know if it's good enough still, but you can more afford to like bury for death cries in Constructed, and it is much less likely that you're gonna get milled in Constructed. So yeah, Blightwagon's a bit better. Up next is Borean Chimera. At the start of your turn, this gets 2 random boons. Nope, it's still bad. All right. Borean Chimera is a 6-cost 5/6. This is really expensive. At the start of your turn, it gets 2 boons until the start of your next turn. That's really awkward. And it has Frostform. I don't think you play this ever as a Frostform. Like, a 4-cost 5/1 that only at the start of your turn you get random boons is really bad. So, when you're playing it not Frostformed, is it even good? And the answer is, not actually that good. Like, you can't control what boons it has. Sure, it, like, rotates its boons, but, like, there are some boons that will just be meaningless to you. Like, you'll get, like, Skyguard Crush, and your opponent won't have any flight troops, and you can't get in because, yeah, it's small. And then, or it's not, like, big enough to crash through, like, multiple 3/3s or whatever. And then, like, sometimes you'll get, like, Flight Life Drain. It'll be insane. But I really don't want my card, like, RNGing all around the place. Like, sure, it'll be good. It'll be a pretty high pick for Diamond Sapphire. And it's a pretty decent uncommon, but like I feel like its power level could be slightly higher. Changeling Cuties. This is our new version of Bluebell Sweeties. No, Bluebell Dryad. Bluebell Dryad. Except that we don't have to revert the Bluebell Dryad after. Also, there is less transform in this set, so hey, this is a bit worse. But yeah, we get to draw more cards. Whoopee. I mean, it makes it so like we can play some of the other transform cards and have them be slightly better. Like, honestly, I think Wild Knight is like the only reasonable troop with like transform attached to it, right? Like for free, not like for cost, right? Is there any other troop that like Zephyn also does it? Is that it? Is that the only ETB transform troops we got? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is the best draw engine in the set, and there's not a lot of transform to help you draw with it. So, yeah, this kind of sucks. Maybe the other draw engine will be slightly better. Actually, I think the other draw engine might be better. What's my opinion of the Ruby Escalate? The whatever. All right, we'll quickly talk about Portalscape. I think it's really good and limited. I think it's pretty bad and constructed. I think making just like one random portal is fine. It just like makes a random rare and you can wait until it's a good one. And I think a lot of people undervalue the fact that you can just wait until it's a good rare and then you just play it. Obviously, it's really bad against reversion. But like you can make a Cosmicron or something and then just like not care because you got another rare portal. And then the second time you get more portal. In constructed, it's probably worthless. Alright, Cosmicron. Cosmicron is free value. I don't think playing a card with portal even matters with this. Like, it's just a 4-cost 4/3 that you get a portal. That's strong. I think this is a very high pick. I think you pick it over most, all commons and most uncommons. I don't know what uncommons that I would pick over it yet, but there has to be some, I think. I don't think it'll be worth much, but maybe it will. Next up is Crafty Skycarver. This is cheesy. When it deals combat damage to an opposing champion, transform a random action in your crypt into a mysterious rune and put it into play. This has the high potential of being completely insane and limited. You could literally just like play like a few really strong actions and just have your like thing continuously bring back strong actions and have it be completely stupid. Because it has evasion, and it's like pretty cheap for having evasion. And it's pretty big for an evasion troop, to be perfectly honest. So like, yeah. I think it'll be great in limited. Just like play some burn actions with this, or some like the evaporate card at 3-cost temporal exile, and then yeah, like 3-cost 2/3 flyers fine by itself, and it'll get in like at least once or twice, and you can get even more value out of that. And I think it's really insane like that. Next up is Emperor Nox. When you troop you control attacks, double that troop's attack. This is a powerful effect. It is not a very great card though. Like if you have Swift Strike cards, and as a note, there are not many Swift Strike cards. And as another note, there are not many minor socketed troops. So like getting Swift Strike on one of your cards is actually kind of hard in Blood Ruby, right? So like after those like situations are met and you like double its attack when attacking, that's like insane. But like or with Crush, I guess it's really strong. But it's really hard to get that, I think, right now in Blood Ruby. So, like, it has a really powerful swinging effect, but if doubling your troops' attack doesn't matter, because your opponent can block all of your X2s with their 2/2s, then, like, Emperor Nox isn't going to be a very great card. I think it's a strong effect, but it is not as busted. Also, yeah, if you get Sting of the Scorpion Ox, you just, like, win immediately, but obviously we're, like, not trying to gamble to get Sting. We're trying to, you know, just, like, kill our opponents with just this set, essentially. Fuel Master is a 2-cost 2/2 Gladiator 1, which means it's a 3/2 or a 2/3, above average stats. When another troop enters play under your control, it gets Gladiator 1, making everything else above average stats. Yeah, I think this is really good. Like yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's gonna suck when your opponent plays that 1-cost deal 2 damage quick spell that voids it, but this is pretty great. It comes down early, and it makes the board harder and harder to beat with the longer it stays on the board. And it doesn't even need to attack, which means Assassinate, or whatever it's called. I always call it Assassinate. Like, Overwhelming Guilt might not even ever get to hit it. And Winter's Grasp obviously just kills it all the time, but Winter's Grasp is busted. So yeah. Gloaming Edict. When you play a Spirit Verdict, spirits you control have +1/+1. There are a lot of spirits in Diamond and Blood. When you play a Spirit Verdict, could be really strong. Spirits you control have +1/+1. Also pretty strong. So yeah, I think this would be a very good card if you, like, draft it early and build your deck around it. Otherwise, I think this card is garbage. And obviously, if you top deck this late, it's not going to be as good as it is early. But yeah. I think it is powerful enough that even if we top deck it late, we still get this, like, spirits you control get +1/+1 value. So I'm still okay with it in the late game. And I think I would pick this pretty highly for an uncommon. Especially if Blood Diamond ends up being, like, decent. Up next is Leprechaun Artist. This card is busted! So, it's a 2-cost 1/1. If you play a card that deals damage when you verdict, it could be good. No. No, Djo. We're not playing that card. We've already decided to play Soothing Seed Stag over that card. We're going to be much happier playing Soothing Seed Stag. Oh, yeah, also it's a constant. Hey, look. More constants to get removed by our constant removal. Leprechaun Artist is so busted. Holy crap. So it's a 2-cost 1/1. So, like, almost assuredly you're going to have a shard on turn 2 to, like, buff it up. If you play this on turn 2, the game is probably over, right? Like, you get a 2-cost 2/2, you get to attack, you make a lucky coin, and then you just keep on playing resources because you either have lucky coins or just regular resources in your hand, and you just slowly crush your opponent with your, like, giant steadfast troop. Also, you also trigger all the other momentum cards that you have, and all the other on-resource play cards that you have, that you could even end up playing, like, not Twilight Justice, the other one. It's the Diamond one. In the Halls of Twilight. Right? So then, like, we could just Leprechaun Artist them to death. This Leprechaun is busted on turn 2. Unfortunately, it's awful on later turns, but I think it is so unbeatable on turn 2 that you just have to pick this, right? Yeah, if you get this, a lot of the other momentum cards start to become playable because of just, like, the free resources that you pick up every turn. Alright, Luminite. 2-cost 2/2 Swift Strike. Above average already. When it deals combat damage to opposing champion, Illuminate 1. Great. We're playing this all the time in Diamond Ruby. It, like, also gives us extra troops, and that's sweet. Obviously, it gets a lot harder to attack with this once they play, like, 4 drops, and potentially 3 drops, because there's a lot of 2/3s at 3, or, like, X3s, which this just, like, doesn't attack into, which is slightly awkward. I think if the format ends up that, like, there are a lot of 2/3s and stuff, or X3s, where you just no longer can attack, we're going to reevaluate, and then we're going to stop taking Luminite so highly. But until that happens, we're going to take Luminite pretty highly early on. Nameless Husher. Hey, look, a mill payoff. Or maybe not a payoff, but, like, more of an enabler. One or more opposing cards would be buried. Bury that many cards plus 2 instead. 3 cost 2, 4. Gross. Gross card. It makes all my opponents' stupid Howling Madnesses bury 5, which means they only need to play 5 of them to win the game. Gross. I think this is going to be really strong. I think bury is actually going to be pretty strong, especially if you can pick up this. Or like other like uncommons that are really important to the deck. I think it'll be a really strong deck. Nameless Pack, if you deal damage, void that many random cards and crypts instead. If you can't, lose the game. I've talked about this on stream before. I think it's kind of cheesy. In Limited, if you're mill, you could probably play this and gain like a bunch of life. As a note, it makes it so your life total no longer matters. So you want to play this when you're at like medium low life, but not like absolutely low life in case they have direct life loss cards somehow. But yeah, and then you just like void cards from your crypt instead. You can still lose to being like lower than 1 life, as a note. So remember that. But yeah, in Constructed, it'll probably get there a lot more easily. There's like dreadlings and stuff that this just like eats for breakfast. So yeah, I think it's sweet. I don't think it's insane or anything, but I think I would be willing to pick this when I'm already in mill. Not to put myself in mill unless I really want to go all in and force the mill archetype. But when I'm already in mill, I will pick Nameless Pact. Nox Animist. When this attacks, another target troop you control gets plus power equal to its power. This doesn't tell me what its is. They still didn't fix the fucking text. Is it Nox Animist's power? Because it makes sense for it to be, but it could also be that troop's power, right? Anyways, yeah, it's a 3 cost, 2/3 rage that like pumps up your other guys. I think it's really good. It's obviously not a like immediate value kind of thing, and it's not like card advantage or anything, but it does pressure the board state, which is sweet. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's a top tier rare, so you're picking some top tier uncommons over this. Nox Zealot. This is basically like Nox Animist, but like weird. At the start of your turn, a random troop you control gets Rage 2 this turn. Means they get 2 power when they attack, if you can have them attack. So yeah, it's another card that's like good at pressuring the board, but you really don't get control of this one, so that's not great. No play in Constructed. None. None of these two. Portacullion. When this attacks, opposing troops get defensive until the start of your next turn. You can Frost form it. This card's insane if you can like get it in turn after turn. If you give this evasion, I don't think your opponent can win, like ever. There's not that many ways to give it evasion though. Like, what is it called? Blast Off is a core common, and if you like blast off your Portacullion, your opponent probably dies. And if you Frost form it, your this one, Wings of Wax, can also give it flight, but then you have like 1 defense, so you die to all the flyers and a lot of removal. Also, it 100% always dies to best diamond removal, frickin' Winter's Grasp. So yeah, like it's good. Probably need to spend another card to make it insane. And when it's insane, I don't think you can lose. So yeah, it's sweet. Constructed play, probably not. Too much removal. Its effect isn't even that impressive in Constructed. Next up is Putrid Porker. It's a 5 cost 5/5 with upside. Put a random card from your crypt into your hand. That's sweet. It's less sweet against mill, because you're going to put a resource into your hand like 20% of the time. And that's not very fun. Yeah, I mean, it's a 5 cost 5/5 with upside. It is one of the better 5 cost troops. Probably won't see play in Constructed. It's like too RNG based to see play in Constructed, but it is kind of sweet. It is also a Undead Plant Beast. Undead Plant for that Undead and Plant synergy. Huey the Rune Mother. QE is really good in limited. And you know why QE is really good in limited? Because QE says 5 cost 5/5 flight. And that's it. Like, her ability isn't that great. Like, all my actions have runic. Oh, okay. Cool. That doesn't matter that much. But, yeah. She's a 5 cost 5/5 flight. You're going to pick this first pick all the time. I don't think that she sees any play in constructed. Because it's really, honestly, not that good. But, yeah. In limited, we're going to get runic all our actions. Maybe one turn. I talked about Riftstorm before. On the pre-set review kind of stuff. And I think Riftstorm's insane. Like, I thought about it, and, like, although you don't get to choose the artifact constant and troop that your opponent returns, you portal all of them, which means that at the start of their turn, it transforms into a random card. So it's like a 4 cost into the unknown for 3 cards for your opponent. And for you also. Although it is slightly worse than Into the Unknown in that, like, you can continue to let your portals tick around to hit, like, a good card eventually, which is less great. Also, if you immediately replay your artifact constant or troop after playing Riftstorm, your troops don't get transformed. They probably will, because I don't think you can afford to pay 4 and then, like, play out all 3 of your cards or whatever. Although I assume you're not actually going to hit all 3 cards. But yeah, this is kind of sweet constant removal, because there usually aren't a ton of constants unless you're against Papa Goot. In which case, I'm sorry. But yeah. I think it's wrong. Not wrong. Strong in limited. And I don't know at all in constructed. Maybe it'll be strong if you can, like, say you're up against Haraza sockets. Like, 100% you're gonna hit an artifact constant and troop. Is that strong enough? Probably not, because it doesn't, like, even revert them, right? Unless they transform into another card of that type. And it'll, like, transform into random rares and uncommons, right? I don't know. It's cheesy. It's probably not great. I would play this in limited almost all the time, though. I think it's really strong in that format. It is a -1, though. Like it is a 4 cost -1, because your opponent will still have those cards in hand, which is real bad. And it sets you back almost the same amount of tempo as your opponent. Shamrock, I've talked about this a ton. Shamrock's insane. Yeah, that's it. Like, you're going to play it all the time in limited, and you're going to play it all the time in constructed, and you're going to lose the game when your opponent goes turn 4 Heartstorm Mordrum and takes your Shamrock. And yeah, that's about it. Like, it has a Punisher ability that's really strong. It has an ability to play the top card of your deck for free, which is pretty strong, and it's a 3 cost 4/4, which is pretty strong. So it's a pretty strong card. Top tier. Think it is a Chase Legend as well. Shillelagh Bully. Deploy, create a lucky coin and put it into your hand. It makes it so momentum gets paid off. It is also a 4 cost 1/1 that you guaranteed will have a resource to make it a 4/4 for a turn. So yeah, it also doesn't start with a tiny momentum number, which actually means that, like, hitting a resource afterwards actually makes it a reasonable size. Even if you've, like, missed on playing this on turn 4. If you play this on, like, turn 7, it's still probably fine. Mainly because, like, the lucky coin plus momentum interaction is insane. Squirming Galaxstar. I think this is your draw engine, honestly, in limited. You're gonna play, like, when you play an action, you make a random uncommon portal. Or you make an uncommon portal and you put it into your deck, and then when you play a card with portal, you draw a card. So I'm pretty sure this is the draw engine you want. Also, it is a 3 cost 1/5, so it blocks, like, everything, which is disgusting. I think it's gonna be really strong. Like you just play this and, like, Swamp Butt it up, or you could even play Entity Unknown and Entity and Unknown it up. I think this is a really strong 3-drop. I think we're gonna end up playing a lot of Ruby Sapphire decks because this deck or this card is really strong. Even though I told you I hate the living crap out of Sapphire, I think we're gonna play Ruby Sapphire decks because of this card. Timothy the Turtle, when it attacks, create a copy of a random card in your hand and put it into your hand. Discard 4 non-resource cards with the same name, summon 4 random legendary troops. Timothy the Turtle is straight up card advantage. It is unlikely that you get to attack too much with it because he's a 2/6, right? Like, he doesn't kill anything on attack. So your opponent can, like, wall it off, which, you know, is good for you because you get to continue attacking. But, like, your opponent could also just, like, put, like, a bunch of troops in front of it, and then you trade for, like, a 2/2 or something, or, like, a 3/2, or maybe a 4/2 at best, right? And then your opponent, and you got, like, a random card in your hand doubled. It's probably strong. I don't think this is insane or anything in Limited. In Constructed, it's a bit cheesy. I don't know exactly what you're going to be doing with it. But yeah, it's fine. You definitely don't want resources in your hand when you attack with it. Otherwise, you're going to get resources, and that sucks. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's great in Constructed. Twilight Justice. Deploy. Verdict. You choose the outcome when you verdict. Hey, this makes it so Verdict doesn't suck. I don't know. This will probably convince me to play Verdict Champion, and then my opponent will play Constant Removal main deck, and then I will lose the game because I thought that I could get Verdicts all the time. So yeah, that's how I feel about this card. It's good. Verdicting when you get to choose the outcomes is probably worth closer to like 0.6 of a card than it is to 0.3 of a card. So yeah, I think this is much stronger. All right, quickly going over my favorite cards. I like Shamrock. I like the wild diamond cards that I want to play in Constructed. So I like Shamrock and I like what is it? Seamstress of Valina, right? And I kind of like the wild portal guy, whatever his name is, Roaming Pulsagath. Like, I think these cards are pretty good. But beyond that, there's a bunch of other good cards that I think deserve mentions for Constructed. Like, Light 'em Up is really strong. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of good cards. I think those are my basic favorite cards. For Limited, I think I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with Zephin. I think Mordrum's one of the strongest in Limited. And I think we're also going to have a lot of fun playing with, like, some of the multicolor cards, like, what's it called? Scorpion Galaxstar, right? In terms of color power level, I think Sapphire is the weakest. And then I'm not too sure beyond that. Because Sapphire common and uncommons are very underwhelming. And unfortunately, Hex doesn't make enough commons and uncommons. So you end up seeing a lot of the same commons and uncommons. I think Wild has a lot of strong ones, like Ready to Rumble and stuff. So maybe Wild is the next strongest. But there are also some weak ones. Like, Wild is really hit or miss with your commons and uncommons. Like, half of them are good and half of them are really bad. But Sapphire, like, 70% of them are really bad. Ruby has a lot of good commons and uncommons. So Ruby might actually end up being the best color, right? Like, we have, like, 2 really exciting combat tricks to be playing. And then, like, a bunch of decent cards. And then we have this crappy Zealous Templar. Oh, no, straight up Diamond is the strongest. Alright, if we have freaking Winter's Grasp at common, Diamond is the strongest. Like, there are other good diamond cards that come in uncommon. Like, Overwhelming Guilt is good. Polar Ferret is great. Livant Skylancers. We got Luxguard. We're gonna play, like, I don't know. Like, not these momentum cards. Aura Eater is gonna be great. Arctic Grizzly is a passable card. Arcing Light is gonna be great. Wrath of Elements is going to be great in certain decks. Threads of Life is going to be fine, if not good. right? Maybe some of these suck. And then Righteous Exorcist is going to be insane, along with Orchicaro, right? And then Blood has a lot of good commons and uncommons too. So I think Diamond and Blood are actually the best two colors. And then I would go like Ruby, then Wild, then Sapphire. Not to say that there's a huge gap between like Diamond and Blood and Ruby and Sapphire. It's just that like you're more likely to end up with a lot of good playables going Diamond and Blood. And then I think you're very unlikely to end up with enough good playables if you go Sapphire, but there are really good Sapphire commons and uncommons. Like, don't get me wrong, there's really good ones, but there's not a ton of good ones. So yeah, I expect it to break down like that. We'll do a post-mortem after the set has been out for a while. For champions, I don't know if I'm ever playing Lady Avalanche. I think we're going to play all the old ones that we used to play, except Puff will see less play, and Torque will see less play. So we're going to play basically the old set, right? We're going to play Swamp Butts, we're going to play the Illuminate one. Occasionally we'll play the Fate Weave one. We're going to play all of the Blood Wild Deathcry ones. And we're still going to play the Mill one, right? And then adding to that mix is Venema of the Nox, Gokrog, Entity Unknown, and Adani Zedek. I think... Oh, and Goot, sorry. Right about Goot. I think these 4 champions are going to see a decent amount of play, and then I don't think Lady Avalanche is actually going to see much play. Because I think Momentum isn't like the mechanic that we want it to be. And even if we do, I think there are other Diamond and Wild champions that we want to play instead. Like Furico, Pheromedes, and the one that gives Gladiator. Gur, I think, is what it's called. So yeah, that's it for my set review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to try to split this up into little videos and then upload it to YouTube. I hope the ending part was sweet, and I'm going to highlight this on my Twitch channel.